Well, hey friends, welcome back to another pottery tutorial. So today is a very practical project. I'm really excited about this one. This is the travel mug that's designed to fit in your cup holder. So first thing, as always, is cut out your templates, and then you're going to need to paste together the C6 template because it was just a little bit too big to print out on a normal size piece of paper. So I'm going to be wedging up 1,200 grams for this project. I'm definitely not going to be using it all, but this should be a big enough slab to contain all of our templates. And first, I'm rolling out a 1/2 centimeter slab. And when you're rolling out slabs, make sure you flip as you go and you roll it out nice and evenly. I really recommend using thickness gauges to help you with your slab thickness. Okay, so with the 1/2 centimeter slab, we're going to be using that for most of the template pieces. So everything except the handle. So this is C6, C7, and C8. Go ahead and cut those out. And while we roll out a slab for the handle, I'm going to put these pieces in front of the fan so they can firm up. Just like all of my template tutorials, I do recommend you firming up your clay pieces a little bit before you start working with them because it just makes it a little bit easier. I usually keep them in front of the fan for about 10 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to be using the scraps for the handle. I don't need too much clay. So for this one, I'm rolling out a full centimeter slab here. I really like my handles to be a little bit thicker than the rest of the piece. I just find when they're 1/2 centimeter, just like the rest of the pieces, they're just a little bit too delicate and they're not so easy to hold. So that's why I recommend going for a full centimeter for the handle, but do whatever you want. Okay, so these have firmed up a little bit. Now we're going to start with the body of the travel mug. So that's the big piece here. And I've got this very handy angle cutter tool. You don't need this tool, but you do want to cut at a 45-degree angle, so you can use a needle tool or a knife to do so if you don't have this amazing angle cutter tool. And then, of course, go ahead and score both sides. So you're going to cut both sides at a 45-degree angle and score both sides. And if you're confused about which side you are working with, we're working with the straight sides here, not the curved sides. And then go ahead and try to connect these two sides. So this is a rather tall piece, so you're gonna need to, at least I needed to, flip it halfway in between and just work these two seams together. As usual, we're going to be doing a lot of cleaning up at the end, so you don't need to worry right now about making the seam perfectly invisible. Just get it really well attached right now. And don't forget to smooth out the inside as well. Okay, now we want to attach the bottom. So now you want to take the round piece and center the body of the mug onto this piece. As always, it's a little bit bigger. That's totally fine. You want to use your needle tool to trace where it's going to sit, score both sides, and then attach them. And then once they're attached, that's when we are going to cut off the extra. This is the best way to get the cleanest lines, is attach first, then cut, with all your slab pottery projects. And then once again, we're just going to work in that seam. Don't worry about it being too perfect right now. You can use your fingers for this. I also like to get some ribs involved as needed. Just do whatever feels right for you. Okay, now we're going to be working with the top part. This is the part that's going to stop your coffee from spilling into your face as you're driving around. So this part is a little bit trickier because it's not a full circle. So I recommend laying it on. Make sure you leave a little bit of a gap around there, just like I am. And then you want to use a small piece of clay. I'm just using an offcut here to support the rest of your piece. So we're just gonna leave that little strip of clay there until we have it fully attached. So as you saw, I just marked where the pot sits, and we're going to score where it attaches here. I don't know how well you can see that with the front shot, but you can see it a little bit better here. We're just scoring the two parts basically that are attaching. And just like the bottom, we're gonna trim the excess after we attach. Okay, here's where our travel mug lid guide comes in handy. So what you want to do is center this on the lid, and we're going to use this to cut a more ergonomic shape. So this little curve here is going to give your nose some space so that you can properly drink out of it. So you definitely want to cut out this little section here. It is not fun to neither drink from this mug if it's not cut away or clean it as well. And then for the, what do you call this? The drinking hole part? You want to just trace it right now. I don't like to cut this part out right now because my clay is just too wet right now. It would make a really sloppy hole here. So what I like to do is just use the template to trace through to, mark exactly where it needs to go. And then I'm gonna go ahead and cut that out later when it's leather hard. And then also keep in mind there's a little rough edge here where the two slabs come to meet. So I like to just smooth those down and make a little smooth transition there. So now it's time to work on the handles. So if you want to have that nice arcing curve, you do want to cut at a 45-degree angle on each side so it can mold to the shape of the cup. You can also, choose a different handle shape. That's totally fine too, but this is kind of, the classic, very ergonomic handle shape. Okay, so the handle placement for this piece is actually pretty important. So if you're right-handed, make sure that the handle is to the right of the lid. Just think about how you're going to be drinking it. If you're going to be holding it in your right hand, you want that lid part to be facing you and not away from you. I don't know how else better to describe it than that. But just think about how you're going to be actually holding the mug from the handle. And then just like all my handles, this attaches exactly the same way. You're going to want to mark where it's attached, score both sides, and then go ahead and attach it. And some people like to use slip here for these attachments. I don't find it necessary with my clay at this level of wetness in my clay, but just do what your clay is asking you to do. If it's not attaching at all, definitely add some water or some slip and then blend. So this piece is done for the day. If you've seen my other tutorials, I pretty much always let the piece dry out a little bit overnight until it's leather hard so that I can do the final tidying up, and I'm also going to cut out that little drinking hole. So I like to wrap my piece in cloth overnight. That works really well for the climate in my studio. Basically, just try and get it to leather hard so it'll be a little bit firmer and you're not going to distort your piece so much as you're cleaning it up. And then go ahead and tidy it up to the point that you're happy with it. My piece was a little bit, actually, I let it sit too long, so it was a little on the drier side, so it was a little hard to tidy up this time. But I still went in and just, with my finger or with a rib, just kind of do the best you can to tidy up your seams and, smooth out all your edges and whatnot. Okay, so for this, we want to use a 1/2 centimeter drill bit. And I'm going to put on the screen how many inches that is. So if you have a hole cutter in this size, go ahead and use that too. I didn't, so I just use a drill bit. And you want to drill holes on either side of the drinking part and then connect those two holes with a knife. I do recommend using an X-Acto knife because you get the cleanest cuts, but whatever works. Here you go. And then with a tiny little hole like this, you can't really fit your finger in, so go ahead and just use a paintbrush with a little bit of water on it, and you can use that to smooth out the hole. So I'm going to continue to dry my piece upside down with the little scrap support that I got here until it's leather hard, and then I can go ahead and pop it in the kiln. Okay, here is the final result. I'm so happy with this piece. I think this is just like a really practical project. I can't tell you how many times I've taken a mug into my car and assumed that I'm not going to spill it. So enjoy me pretending to drink out of the mug right here. And I hope that this tutorial was fun for you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.